Oh, it's the dog days of summer, just about halfway through the racing season, and we're here on the North Carolina-Virginia border at Virginia Motorsports Park. It's probably one of the greatest racing facilities in North America because not only is it a racetrack, it's also a resort. So it's a perfect time to enjoy a cocktail, sit under this famous oak tree, This is Dodge Viper Cup.
And it's time for the sixth round of the Dodge Viper Cup, presented by Pennzoil Ultra. This is an absolutely glorious facility. It does look like a park with a motorsports facility running through it. It's Virginia International Raceway, a motorsports resort as well. More on that as we take a look at this wonderful round of racing. I'm Greg Creamer. You've met Tom Natchew, and here is the grid. They are just about ready to go. Let's get to the starting lineup. Keeping in mind points for qualifying. Ben Keating, his fifth straight pole. Boy, that's helping in terms of those points with Courtney alongside. Ralph Gilles and A.J. Morgan had problems with their qualifying efforts in the fifth round, but they fill out row two here in the sixth round. Then Gillern and Fiorelli have been ever impressive in qualifying and during the races. Fourth row, Kurt Solberger improving vastly from his round five qualifying run alongside Mike Von Quillick, Todd Nelson, and Connie Bogan. Once again, strong qualifying average. But how about this guy? Chris Barant qualified 16th yesterday, the snowmobile extreme rider, up into the 11th spot in qualifying, joined by Bernie Katz, then Brian Mosky, and Brad Gorandana having a strong run as well as he completes his first round of the season. Then Dave Masick and Mark Montour, the absolute rookie in his first weekend of racing, completes the field. We are ready to go. The wheel and lights will come on. When they go out, it's a standing start heading into turn one, Tom.
Well, you can see Ben Keating lined up in his own donuts from yesterday, so he's got some ambition going, and already we've got drivers on the grass on their way down to turn number one.
Boy, on the inside and outside, and again, Courtney didn't quite get the great start he wanted, but this time it was enough. He feinted over and was able to protect, but look at the move by Gillern. Talk about threading the needle right in between Ralph Gilles and A.J. Morgan. What a start by Gillern. Oh, a little bit sideways there, gathers it up, and it's going to make that stick. That's called aggression.
Eric Gillern, You know what? You can't do that. And Ralph Gilles getting a little bit loose in behind him as they chase. These Michelin tires, fantastic. But Greg, you've got to get some heat in them.
Yeah, absolutely, and you've got no heat in the tire. The grip's not quite there. Tremendous torque and power in these ACRX Vipers. That's what can happen. But Eric Gillern, that may have been the start of the season. Wow, an absolutely amazing launch. There's Ralph Gilles. We're on board with Ralph sitting in the fourth spot, looking back at A.J. Morgan, and here's Gillern looking back at a quickly closing Ralph Gilles. This is going to get interesting in a hurry, I think.
A.J. Morgan looks ahead at Ralph Gilles and says, I've got to get by him to get to the front runners. And he's going to take a long look down the inside. That's not going to happen quite yet.
And the upside for AJ, I guess, is he's not starting dead last. We saw what he could do, and look at this. We've got 1, 2 guys off. Oh, and a big wobble by Ralph Gilles. I think that was target fixation. He just followed Gillern right off the outside of that turn, and AJ Morgan says, thank you.
Yep, very, very good for A.J. Morgan, but for Ralph Gilles, he was absolutely blinded there, and he did the right thing. He went right hand down to avoid Eric Gillern in case he was there, but of course, the momentum is everything here at VIR.
And that's what A.J. Morgan was able to take advantage of, so now he's fourth, chasing Gillern, who we're on board with again, looking back, and all he's seeing in his mirrors is that orange hood with that black stripe as they head down through turn number 17, now 17A, onto that long bending front straight, and he's got to run. Morgan coming, Gillern moves over. That blunts Morgan's attack. Now let's see, does Morgan still go for it? He does. He's there. Does he get the nose alongside? Yes.
Oh,
and Gillerin says,
maybe.
oh, but look at the over-under move. Gillerin, no, Morgan slams the door shut. And Gillerin goes, I was had.
And Ralph Shield takes a look at that and says, holy smoke, I don't know if I want any part of that.
Yeah, he was happy. He was watching that unfold up front. Keating and Courtney continue to run 1-2. At Virginia International Raceway, doesn't matter where you point the camera, it's target rich, but the artistry of the camera folks for Internal Combustion Group catching that cloud path, that is spectacular, as is the racing here at this 6th round of the Dodge Viper Cup presented by Pennzoil Ultra. Where are we going to be going right back to? Well, this great battle back in the pack, and we've been watching the attack. We're on board with Gillerin, and he loses it, and it looked like he just clipped that curb a little hard, Tom, and it unloaded the car.
All you have to do is just take 1 foot out of line here at VIR and it will bite you. And this time it bites Eric Gillerin very hard.
But his return to the championship, he has been spectacular, as we saw in that opening lap.
Now here we have an opportunity to look back from Kurt Solberger, who does that left side tires off. This time it's going to bite him, Greg.
It drew him in, and he just tips that tire barrier and gets away with it, it looks like. And look at the smoke coming from that left front brake. It's so hot here, Tom, and you get heat soak and the whole thing, and he got away with one.
He really did. He got into the pit lane in the southern part of the track, and that couldn't have worked out any better for Kurt Solberger. But this is a much more sober driver as we go back to the leaders.
Absolutely. And speaking of those leaders, it is Ben Keating continuing to lead from Jeff Courtney. And Courtney not having to try and deal with somebody getting by him on the start like he did in round 5. So right now, I would think his whole mission is fill the mirrors of Ben Keating and try and distract him.
As they say in Europe, push, 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 and we'll see if we can get Ben Keating to make a mistake. But Ben is definitely motivated to try to make this 2 in a row at VIR.
Well, absolutely. In this championship hunt, now we drop back. That is the number 3 of Dave Masick, and boy, does he have company. And right behind him, that yellow Viper, that's Chris Moran, an extreme snowmobile racer, backcountry guy, trick rider. I've had the pleasure of calling a number of his hill cross events and some of his tricks events at the Winter X Games. And on a snowmobile, he's magic, but in 4 wheels with this kind of power and torque, it's somewhat unknown territory. But after round 5, he's proven to be a quick learner, and he's giving Masick no rest.
And Dave Masick, a veteran of this championship's got his mirrors filled with him. And boy, I tell you, his learning curve has been vertical, but he's been doing a great job.
Absolutely, and not far behind them. There you see the number 26 of Mark Montour behind Moran. And so this great 4-car tussle right now, proving to be a good one. And look at Moran hounding Masick. Thought about coming up the inside there into turn 10. That's a tough place to do that. Now working their way up into Oak Tree. And for Dave Masick, it's a great story for Dave. As one of the things is the cars. These Viper ACRXs are spectacular to be sure. But what was the hook that got Masick involved?
Boy, the car is really amazing. The aerodynamics really helps you feel planted as you go through the corners, particularly here at VIR, through those upper S's. It really just instills a tremendous amount of confidence. And the overall, the power, the acceleration is really just a blast to drive. We've got Russ and the guys come over, help make some changes, always making sure the brakes are in good shape, the tires, the whole overall vehicle. Couldn't do it without John Archer and Archer Racing. Well, we started back in 2006. My wife and I owned a 98 Viper GTS, and we learned about Viper Days. And it happened to be at Sebring, Florida, which was about 3.5 hours from our hometown in Gainesville, Florida. We went down for the day, we shared the car, and ever since then we've been doing it pretty consistently, about 5 to 8 events per year. It definitely has been gratifying. Yeah, it's fun to get out there and measure your progress and see how you're doing compared to those others you've been racing against. And then getting in a pack of cars and running for a 30, 40-minute race, it's really a lot of fun.
Well, then he's having a great time because he's been in that pack of 4 cars, and it has been fierce thus far. Meanwhile, back up front, there is a look at your leading duo, Keating over Courtney. Oh, and Keating has gone in too hot and just ran it off the outside of 17, and it just looked like that thing wasn't going to turn.
Yeah, Ben Keating maybe just a little too ambitious, and of course Jeff Courtney's strategy plays off. He filled his mirrors, did as good a job as he could to be there, and Ben Keating finally made that mistake.
So Courtney into the lead, and Morgan was able to slide through as well. Courtney's got himself a lot of breathing room. There's Morgan. You see him in the back of the frame. So that's your gap between first and second. And talk about championship implications, the way things were going with Keating if he'd won this one, and it's not completely out of the realm of possibility, but with guys the quality of Courtney and Morgan in front of him now, it's going to be tough. And if they finish in anything like this order, this championship is going to be on.
Yeah, we go to Texas and then to Daytona, two completely different tracks from VIR. But there it is. It's Courtney, Morgan, Keating, Gilles, and Fiorelli. This is Dodge Viper Cup presented by Pennzoil Ultra.
If you're a road racing fan, that is the vacation property you want. Virginia International Raceway. We're here for the 6th round of the Dodge Viper Cup presented by Pennzoil Ultra. Those are the condos overlooking the turn 10 area of the track. A spectacular view. And boy, I'll talk about a great alarm call to wake up in the morning to have the alarm go off and have it be V10 Vipers screaming by you. Gotta love that. On board with Marc Montour here, and he's getting the big approach down to the inside. And oh, that was a big thump coming at him from the 90 of Brad Gorandana. And Montour is off track, and that's the second race here this weekend he's been off track on.
Yeah, he just got knocked off there. Brad, that was too ambitious, baby. You just knocked him off the track. There's no question about that. Brad, you got to knock that off, especially with the rookies, because you're going to freak them out.
Absolutely. As we hop on board the 32 of Bernie Katz, again, this is his first weekend of racing here in the Dodge Viper Cup this season, and he's got himself a mirror full as well. Coming up hard astern, very, very close. Connie Bogan looking to the inside. Meanwhile, Eric Galern, as we hop on board with him, remember now he's in recovery mode, and he's watching that battle now up in front.
Connie Bogan gets on the brakes and manages to slip in just ahead of Bernie, but Bernie not going to give it up at Oak Tree.
Boy, Connie, an outside pass from 10 into Oak Tree. That's spectacular.
The more I see of Connie Bogan and her husband coming out to the racetrack and racing with these guys, they're doing a fantastic job. This is the spirit of Dodge Viper Cup.
Meanwhile, we go back to Dave Masick, and there is Chris Moran. I talked about the snowmobile racer making his first start ever in these type of machines, in a car certainly, but the power of these machinery. And one of the nice things is that you get coaching from Lux Performance, and that means Cindy Lux gives you a tour of these cars when you're a celebrity driver making your first start.
This car is the most ridiculous piece of equipment I've ever got to set foot in. You know, the handling is something I didn't expect. When I went with my test driver for the first laps around the car, I thought she was gonna kill me. There's no way we can make the corner. I would hit the brakes way, way back there compared to where she did. And then the brute force exiting the corner it's a pull that I've never been able to experience, and so it's pretty cool. These guys have been real respectful in qualifying. I think it's going to change a little bit during race trim, so I'm looking forward to it. My plan is take care of the car, hold my line, and let all the other knuckleheads kind of, you know, separate, and maybe I'll come away looking like a rose. So I qualified towards the back, which was my plan. And, you know, here's my prediction. My prediction is I'm going to take care of the car. All my times keep improving. Yesterday I was running 206s. Today I ran my fastest lap of a 202, which put me in the field with everybody else. So I'm really excited about that and looking forward to learning the car a little more and learning the track.
Greg, did that X Games athlete just call everybody else knuckleheads?
I think he may have, but I'll tell you what, he's as knuckleheady as it gets. You watch what he does in those snowmobiles. And again, that's more contact this time. That's, the same driver, but this time into Dave Masick, Tom.
Oh, Brad. Brad is having troubles of his own as he goes off. He just drove into the side of Dave Masick again. But Brad Gorandana now has some kind of an issue. You know, these Vipers are really tough, but you just can't use them as battering rams, and he's going to have to suffer the consequences of that.
Absolutely, but you can see something's amiss, and he's really struggling here, well off the pace. So that may have been a serious issue for him as a result of that contact. Yeah, it isn't turning to the right is the issue here, and he's trying to gather it up. He's off track once again. And, oh boy, I'll tell you, this is, well, it's a learning curve. Look at Dave Masick pulls up alongside, and I think he may have given him the international signal for, that's karma, buddy.
I don't think that's what he did. What is that symbol? Does it involve a finger? Because
I don't know.
I think it may have done that. Dave Masick is understandably just a little bit ticked off. It certainly took his race away. Here's a shot from Brad's car. And as Greg said, it's not really turning right properly.
And there it goes again. So he just, now the best thing to do is pull it over by the tires and park it and get it out of the way. And that looks like that may be exactly what he's doing.
That's
so
a smart move by Brad.
Yep, tough weekend, but a learning weekend, and hopefully got it all out of his system. So at this point, 9 laps complete. Courtney, Morgan, Keating, Ralph Schill, Dave Fiorelli, Van Quillick, Nelson, Max Bogan, and Galern. So fortunate to be able to spend a weekend at Virginia International Raceway. This is the 6th round of the Dodge Viper Cup presented by Pennzoil Ultra. There's a little bit of that southern red dirt that is so pretty, but that corner workers who wear whites hate because it will not come out of the clothing when you get done with a weekend where you're busy, especially if it's wet, which it hasn't been here. It's just been hot. And we are watching a great drive by Jeff Courtney. Started second, held on to second, pressure, got Keating to make the mistake. He leads, and now he's dealing with A.J. Morgan, who's not exactly running slowly at this point. As a matter of fact, has chipped away at Courtney's lead a little bit as we start this last lap down into turn 1. But Courtney, boy, what an experienced driver in these Vipers.
What did we say last race? You know, leading from the front, and I know that sounds redundant, but when you're leading, managing that race and that racetrack all at the same time and managing your lead over P2 is very, very difficult to do, and the only way you can learn it is to have the experience.
That's right. It's driving the gap sometimes is what it's referred to as. You'll give up a little bit to save those tires, and as great as these Michelin tires are, it is so hot. These cars generate so much power and torque. You've got to be mindful of the tires. So you'll give up maybe a tenth or two middle part of the race to make sure you've got tires under the car at the end. Fortunately, they've got Michelins under them, which is great news indeed. But you can see Morgan has closed it up a little bit, but I think some of that is just racecraft by Jeff Courtney saying, all right, that's it. Now I'm going to drop the hammer again.
There's one of the greatest sights in motorsport. Those cars come steaming through those high-speed S's. On their way down to Oak Tree, you can see the speed, 150, 155 miles an hour before they climb on the binders for the last time. And Jeff Courtney using all the racetrack, Greg.
Absolutely, and look at that shot. You know, we really need to give a shout out to the producers and directors and the camera people for Internal Combustion Group, because those low angle shots, this is the one high shot, but it's from a low position just up on a hillside. It is really unique to this series and this coverage, and it gives you artistry like that shot up in Oak Tree. And by the way, you talked about one of the greatest views in racing through the S's. The greatest sounds is coming out of Oak Tree, those V10s at full song.
Oh man, they made me spill my drink, for goodness sake.
Absolutely.
Hats off to Richie and Colin from Internal Combustion Group. You're making Dodge Viper Cup look fantastic. Here we go as we come up the hill for the last time. A.J. Morgan has no hope, but he's got no reason to hang his head.
Absolutely not. A brilliant drive, a comeback weekend in so many ways. Courtney is going to claim the win. Great run for him, his second win of the season. A.J. Morgan, another podium, and you combine that with what he had to do in the 5th round, coming from dead last up into 4th. Absolutely brilliant weekend of racing. Here is your order. Let's give a shout out to Michael Van Quillick, who got punted off the track in the 5th round, came back with a top 5 in this one. Some great racing indeed, and some great racing throughout the field. But of course, points now. We've got 4 rounds of this championship. Look how close it is. Keating, Courtney, and Morgan, and not that far out of it is Fiorelli and Nelson with Van Quillick. I mean, it's a matter of single points at this point between 3rd, 4th, and 5th. This is some great stuff, and been enjoying this one a lot. There is Jeff Courtney. He is enjoying that cool down lap, and he's with Tom.
Well, Jeff Courtney, sometimes things just work out for you.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for Ben. He's been fast all weekend, so bad break for him, but a good one for us. And it didn't come easy. We were fighting a transmission problem, shifting problem, for probably the last half of the race, and we were running out of fuel on the last lap. And I was just begging to see the 2-lap mark, you know.
So that's why we didn't get any victory donuts from you.
Exactly. Hopefully there's another chance.
Well, you know, as we get to this part of the season with just a couple more races to go, the points battle starts to come into play.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was going to run the full season or not. I had some people interested in leasing the car, and I have some some conflicts, and I'm going to try to clear my schedule now if possible. I'd like to at least make him earn it. You know, he's got a pretty good head start, but I'd like to chase him down and make him earn it.
Well, you heard it first. Jeff Courtney's going for it in Dodge Viper Cup. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Well, here in Dodge Viper Cup, these two guys are known as the usual suspects. We'll start with you, AJ. Another good run, and of course, you're chasing this guy in points.
Yeah, I gave it all I could, man. The past 3 days here have been tough, man. We've been just wrenching on this car nonstop. Electrical problems yesterday, couldn't qualify. Came from 17th or 18th, beginning of the race to work up to 4th. Today, qualified 4th, finished 2nd. It's a pretty good weekend, but, man, I'm tired after that.
I can imagine so. Ben Keating still got the points lead coming out of here, but, you know, it's something to think about as we move on to the next race.
You know, whether I'm selling Vipers or driving them, I am known that I might take an extra risk here or there every once in a while, and that's what got me. I wanted to build a big gap between Jeff and I, and I was just pushing too hard. I came down the hill, going onto the front straight, wanting to get a good run, and I just didn't have enough tire to hold me.
Well, you're going home for the next round, and that's got to be comfortable for you, your business, and your family.
It is exciting. This is my favorite track in the country right here, but I absolutely love Texas World Speedway, and it ought to be a great race.
Indeed, going home, and he's going to love it. There is a little bit of a break in the schedule as you take a look at the podium, as get about a month off, and then to Texas World Speedway in September. Look at this shot of the podium, the celebrations, and I bet that champagne is as cool and refreshing with the heat we've had here. Let's hope Texas World Speedway presents Virginia like heat at that time of the year. Amazing to be saying that about heading to Texas. But that's where the 7th and 8th rounds of the championship will unfold in September. Make sure you watch the coverage of the Dodge Viper Cup presented by Pennzoil Ultra right here on Versus. I'm Greg Creamer, along with Tom Natchew. It has been a pleasure to bring you a great weekend of racing from Virginia International Raceway. Congratulations to Ben Keating and Jeff Courtney, our winners here at VIR. We'll see you next time, everybody.